There's an ancient Japanese discipline that gives one the edge over anyone else. A presence so sharp it changes the very air the moment you enter. And it starts with something Musashi never spoke of aloud, only demonstrated through the life he lived. Chapter 1. The Blind Warrior. In the year 609, in Higo province, the dojo was hushed that morning, the kind of silence that feels almost alive. A young student named Dai stepped into the courtyard, wooden sword in hand. Years of training had refined his movements, every stance precise. Yet, whenever he faced another, a tight knot of fear gripped him. Musashi watched silently from the veranda, eyes calm, assessing without judgment. Dai began sparring. The instant the swords met, chaos erupted in his mind. What if I'm struck? What if I falter? What if Musashi notices? His shoulders stiffened, breaths grew shallow, and his strikes became frantic, desperate. It ended quickly. A blow to the ribs dropped him to one knee, shame burning hotter than the pain itself. Musashi rose and approached, offering no hand, no correction. He simply gestured toward a polished metal mirror near the shrine. Hesitant, Dai stepped closer. His reflection stared back, jaw clenched, breath shaking, eyes wide with fear he'd long pretended absent. Musashi finally spoke, voice calm, steady. When the mind is your enemy, no opponent is required. He didn't lecture, didn't console. He stated a truth. Before you can read another, learn to see what hides within yourself. Stepping back, Musashi said only, "Return when you are ready to face what you refuse to see." And so Dai's journey began. To read the world, he would first need to read himself. Chapter 2. The Mountain Monk. Stillness. Year 1610, Mount Horai, northern Kyushu. The path wound steeply through cedar forests, shrouded in mist. Dai climbed alone, following Musashi's simple instruction. Seek the monk above the clouds. He will teach what movement cannot. By noon, the trees thinned, revealing a sharp ridge cutting through a sea of clouds. At its edge stood a small wooden temple, open to the wind, unguarded. An elderly monk swept the stone path with deliberate, slow strokes, as if the world moved around him rather than the other way. Dai bowed. "Master Musashi sent me." The monk didn't respond, nor did he look up. He continued sweeping. A minute stretched, pressing against Dai's chest. "Is this a test? What am I to do?" Without looking, the monk indicated a flat stone. "Sit," Dai obeyed. Between them, an empty cup rested on the ground. Silence settled, heavy and absolute. Dai's mind raced as his body tensed, breath uneven, legs restless. Finally, the monk spoke. "You see nothing because you cannot be still." He tapped the cup lightly. "This is your mind, always spilling, always rushing ahead." Turning it sideways, he let the wind play across its surface. Nothing enters a mind that never stops spilling itself out. Something shifted inside Dai, not understanding, but recognition. The monk walked to the cliff's edge, Dai following. Below stretched a wide expanse, villages, forests, rivers moving like ink across parchment. "Look between the sounds," the monk instructed. Dai closed his eyes, wind, insects, distant water. And in between, a living quiet. "This is Ma, the space between things," the monk said. "Most stare at noise, never the silence that binds it." Dai exhaled slowly, absorbing a world seen with new softness. People reveal themselves in these spaces, before words, before movement, before pretense. The monk returned to the temple. Return to Musashi when you hear what is unspoken as clearly as what is said. Dai descended carrying nothing in his hands, yet a fragile, unmistakable stillness inside him. Chapter 3. The Old Strategist. Timing year 1611, coastal Kumamoto. Dusk bathed a quiet fishing village in amber light. Waves rolled in slow, steady rhythms. Musashi had instructed simply, "Find the man who once commanded armies. He now studies the tide." The old strategist carved lines into cedar with effortless hands. "Master Musashi sent me," Dai said. The strategist placed his carving aside. "I no longer teach war, only timing. Observe and learn why it decides everything." He led Dai to the shore. Minutes passed in silence. Dai asked, "What should I watch?" "Tell me when a wave begins," the strategist said. Dai guessed early, then late. Each time the sea corrected him. "Prediction is fear," the strategist explained, tossing a pebble. Waves crashed early, then gently carried another away. "Too early you break against the world, too late it moves without you." Dai's frustration mounted. "Listen," the strategist said, not with ears but patience. Dai slowed his breath, attuned to rise, pause, pull. A hidden rhythm emerged. "Now you see," the strategist said. "People are the same. Hesitation is retreat. Confidence is the rise. Fear is the pause before the crash." For the first time, Dai understood. Outsmarting others isn't speed. It's perceiving the moment before it arrives. Chapter 4, The Tea Master, Presence Year 1611, Nagasaki. Dai entered a tea house at sunrise. Silent, yet alive, the quiet held a subtle weight. Musashi's instruction: go to the one who pours clarity into a cup. An elderly tea master arranged ceramics with deliberate care, gestures slow yet purposeful. Dai bowed. "I've come to learn." The master didn't reply. He gestured for Dai to sit. Steam rose like drifting brush strokes. Finally he spoke. "Presence is not stillness, it is attention." Dai mimicked the master's motions, scooping, pouring, but faltered. "Technique is fine," the master said. "Presence is absent. Observe not what others do, but how they do it." A young apprentice entered. Dai noticed his careful steps, raised shoulders, fleeting glance. "What do you see?" whispered the master. Dai realized nervousness before words. Presence revealed truth before speech. "Mastery," the master added softly, "lies not in movement, but in the awareness beneath it." Dai left, seeing every gesture, every hesitation, every signal as readable. Presence, he understood, was vision. Chapter 5, The Ronin, Reading People, Year 1612, Outskirts of Shimabara. Dai walked along a quiet road. Musashi's lessons on stillness, timing, and presence swirled in his mind. Yet one thing remained elusive: reading people. A lone ronin sat beneath a maple tree, sword resting, eyes flicking open before Dai approached. "You walked too heavily," the ronin said. Dai frowned. "I made no sound." "The mind did," the ronin replied. He directed Dai's attention to villagers. "Watch them." Dai saw movements, expressions, postures, but no meaning. "Look deeper," the ronin said. Subtle gestures revealed thoughts, nervous hands, a rigid stance, waiting eyes. Dai began to see. The ronin taught that fear, desire, doubt, all leaked through posture, breath, and gaze before any words. "Learn this," the ronin said, "and you will stay ahead of any man." Dai bowed. People no longer seemed mysterious. They were readable. Chapter 6, The Woodcutter, Patterns and Rhythm, Year 1612, Foothills of Mount Unan. Dai climbed foggy trails to a clearing. An elderly woodcutter swung an axe with calm precision. Thud, breathe, thud, breathe. Dai sat, watching silently. "Stop watching the blade," the woodcutter said. "See the pattern." Dai looked closer. Every log's weakness revealed the outcome before the strike. "Humans move the same way," the woodcutter explained. "In rhythm, emotion, hesitation. Learn the pattern, and prediction becomes simple." Dai closed his eyes, listening to the forest's pulse. Wind, birds, branches, all ordered. When he opened them, he walked not through the world, but with it. Chapter 7, The Hermit, Inner Silence, continued. The hermit would teach him how to truly hear. By late afternoon, Dai reached a clearing sculpted by wind and stone. A small hut leaned beneath an ancient pine, and beside it, a frail hermit sat cross-legged, eyes closed, still as carved wood. Dai bowed. "I've come to learn." The hermit did not stir, no nod, no breath shift, only profound silence. Vast, complete. Dai waited. 1 minute, 5, 10. Nothing. Is he ignoring me? A test? His thoughts raced, faster with each passing moment. Finally Dai sighed. Master, what am I to do? No answer. Then, without instruction, realization dawned. The lesson had begun. He sat across from the hermit and closed his eyes. Immediately his mind erupted. Memories, worries, imagined futures, tripping over one another in a storm. Outside, the world remained perfectly still. The hermit opened a single eye. Voice barely a whisper, he said, "You wish to see others, yet you cannot hear your own mind without drowning in it." Dai felt the words cut deeper than any blade. True perception begins when the self quiets, the hermit continued, touching his chest lightly. As long as you place yourself at the center, all you see bends around fear. Step aside, and the world becomes clear. Dai inhaled deeply, closing his eyes again. This time, he did not chase or wrestle his thoughts. He let them drift, dissolving like morning mist. Gradually, clarity emerged. The forest spoke not as noise but as layers. Wind brushing branches, birds calling in small repeating patterns, leaves falling in gentle arcs, and beneath it all, a silence that felt alive. The hermit nodded. Good. Silence is not absence of sound, it is absence of interference. Dai opened his eyes. The forest looked different, clearer, wider, honest. The hermit raised a finger. Return to Musashi when your silence reveals more than your thoughts ever could. Dai bowed. As he left, the forest no longer felt overwhelming. The world had not changed, only the noise within him had. Chapter 8, The Wind Lesson. Seeing the Unseen, Year 1613, Higo Province. Dai returned to Musashi's grounds with a quieter mind than when he had left. Months of wandering had left their mark. Stillness from the monk, timing from the strategist, presence from the tea master, rhythm from the woodcutter, silence from the hermit. Yet he knew the final lesson awaited here. Musashi stood beneath a camphor tree, carving the edge of a wooden blade. He did not look up. "You have gathered many pieces," he said. "Now you must learn to weave them." He stepped into the open field. Tall grass swayed in shifting patterns, bending with the wind. "Tell me," he said, "what is the wind doing?" Dai watched. "It's blowing from the east." Musashi shook his head. "That is appearance, not intention." He pointed to the treetops. Some leaves bent early, others late. The wind whispers before it arrives. So do people. Raising his wooden sword, Musashi advanced. Dai moved instinctively, barely noticing. "That step you just took," Musashi said, "I did not command. The wind did." He circled Dai. "Every movement begins before it manifests. Breath tightens, eyes narrow. Weight shifts. The strike is the final echo." Musashi lifted the blade again, striking decisively. Dai watched not the sword, but the signs beneath it. A shoulder tilt, a brief pause in breath, a subtle change of grip, a shift in stance. At the right moment he stepped aside, anticipating, not reacting. Musashi nodded. "Good. You are finally seeing. This is the deepest perception," Musashi said. "To stay ahead, you must read what is revealed before it is known." The wind swept through the field, bending the grass in a slow ripple. Dai observed, understanding that the ripple had begun long before he noticed it. Musashi sheathed the blade. "When you can see the unseen," he said quietly, "you walk ahead of others without forcing a single step." Dai bowed, finally grasping the language of the wind. Chapter 9. The night before the test year, 1613, Higo Province. Sunset draped the dojo in a soft amber glow. Word of the final test had spread. It would come with the next sunrise. Students sharpened blades, replayed techniques, forced themselves into confidence. Dai did none of that. He walked alone to the edge of the training grounds, beneath a lantern hanging from an old cedar, the same place he had once trembled under Musashi's gaze. The fear was different now, not louder but deeper, a reminder that the trial was not of skill but understanding. Dai sat beneath the lantern, eyes closed, recalling the lessons, the monk's stillness, the strategist's timing, the tea master's presence, the ronin's reading of people, the woodcutter's rhythm, the hermit's silence, and Musashi's final teaching, the wind revealing intention before action. Each settled inside him like stones across a dark river. For the first time, he felt no need to rehearse. There was nothing left to prepare. The test was not skill, it was vision. A soft breeze moved through the cedar branches. Dai felt it brush his cheek and remembered Musashi's words, "The world speaks first. You move second." He opened his eyes. Across the courtyard, students practiced, some desperate, some proud, some masking fear with forced ambition. Dai saw them clearly. They weren't training, they were confronting the noise inside themselves. He rose, breathing with the quiet rhythm of the swaying cedar. The night felt transparent, open, honest. Footsteps approached. Musashi emerged from the shadows, arms folded within his robe. He studied Dai. "You are not training," Musashi said. Dai bowed. "I do not need to." Musashi inclined his head slightly. "Approval, not praise. Understanding replaces effort," he said. "At dawn, you face someone skilled. Technique ends quickly. Perception does not." Dai felt calm, not confidence, but deep stillness. He bowed again and returned to the lantern's soft glow, ready not to test skill but sight. Chapter 10. The Final Encounter. Integration Year 1613. Higo Province. Dawn. Mist shrouded the courtyard as Dai stepped forward. Students formed a silent circle. At the far end, a senior master stood, calm, disciplined, presence alone carrying weight. Dai bowed. The master bowed in return, settling into a stance honed by decades of practice. The air felt thin, expectant, not tense. The master moved first, a measured step, subtle shift in weight, a controlled breath. Dai watched intention, not blade, fingers tightening, gaze narrowing, a faint lean of the shoulders. The strike came. Dai stepped aside, not fast, on time. Whispers rippled through the courtyard. The master adjusted, swinging low. Dai caught the hesitation before the motion fully formed. He moved with the moment, not after. Stillness, timing, presence, rhythm, silence, perception, all aligned in him like one quiet truth. The master circled, studying Dai. Another strike approached, carrying the slightest doubt in stance. Dai stepped forward into the space that doubt created. He did not raise his blade. He simply stood. The master froze. Slowly he lowered the weapon. "Enough," he said. "You are seeing, not reacting." He bowed deeply, not because Dai had won, but because he understood. Musashi stepped from the veranda, calm gaze fixed. "To stay ahead," he said, "you do not move faster. You see deeper." He placed a hand on Dai's shoulder. "Skill ends. Perception does not." Students bowed, not a contest but an awakening. Dai bowed in return. The morning light softened. No triumph, no pride, only clarity. He saw the subtle acceptance, quiet awe, faint approval, and beneath it all, the world moving onward. He understood to outsmart others is not to overpower, but to perceive what they cannot. The test had ended, yet the vision he now carried would guide every step to come.